All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let's jump into the latest with this whole Epstein client list as the Department of Justice has recently come out debunking what they had said previously. And we'll get to a breakdown of that in a second. But they basically came out and said that there was no Epstein client list after all. So what I want to do is I want to look at this first from a left wing space perspective and then the right wing space perspective, because right now we are incredibly divided as a country. And that includes the media we consume based largely on our algorithm. So, despite myself obviously being progressive, that's no news if you've been watching the show. If you haven't, welcome. But I also dabble in right wing spaces to see the other perspective. And so that hopefully you don't have to delve into the black hole that is Fox News, Alex Jones, Charlie Kirk, things like that, so on and so forth. So I want to start with kind of the left wing fallout from this, the Democratic fallout, you may say. And what I have noticed, and please comment below if you feel like I'm on point with my analysis here. I did not see the same level of outrage from left wing podcasters, left wing media, because I think largely we have already observe the behavior of people like Trump, understand his history, and aren't surprised that he lied again. Um, Remember, he could have released these files the first time he was in office, but he chose not to. So it's not a surprise he is backpedaling and not releasing the files this time. Now, I don't want to get it twisted because what may come out of the right wing spaces is that the left wing just doesn't care about this case and what is happening with this potential child sex trafficking ring that is taking place in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. That is not the case whatsoever, right? This story is deplorable, and everyone who is involved with it, I do not care, guys, if it is my favorite celebrity, my favorite artist, my favorite politician, my favorite sports athlete. I'm huge into sports, talk about it all the time. I do not care. If anyone committed a crime, it should be public knowledge. They should have a trial by their peers, and they should be prosecuted accordingly. So I don't want that narrative to be the case. It's just like I don't think the left wing was surprised by this, would be my summary. And guys, Trump's history specifically, if we're talking about whether he's on the list or not, or if we would be surprised about it, to me and to a lot of people in left-wing spaces, in my opinion, his history speaks from himself, right? He joked about dating his own daughter. He walked into changing rooms at teen beauty queen pageants. He had the Access Hollywood grab him by the you-know-what tape. And guys, part of that isn't mentioned as much as he also said with that, I don't even wait. So imagine someone saying these words in connection. I just grab them by, their private parts and I don't even wait. So he's not waiting for what? Permission, consent. He just does it anyway, right? That is Trump's quote exactly there, with just grab them and I don't even wait. He was also, guys, before he was elected president, he was found civilly liable for sexual abuse. So that's on record. There are multiple pictures of him with Epstein, so there's some kind of connection there. And he extended well wishes to convicted sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, after she was convicted and found guilty. So in my opinion, what I'm seeing is the left wing has already connected the dots. We're just waiting for everyone else to catch up. But once again, anyone who is connected with this, the file should obviously be released, and anyone connected should be prosecuted. I don't care what elite status you have. You should be prosecuted accordingly. Now, for those of us who do not delve in right-wing spaces, and that may be a lot of you listening, maybe it's not. Anyone's welcome, obviously, on TJacks Unpacks. But guys, the right wing is losing their mind over this. And I want you to understand that for many right wing media figures, this was at the center of their ideology because it goes beyond just this individual case, but part of a larger conspiracy theory tied to elites and sex traffic rings around the country. Yes, guys, it's crazy stuff. I'm not saying I believe in any of that, but some of these media figures have millions of followers. And another level to this, guys, is a lot of MAGA just trusts Trump, regardless of his actions, no matter what. I mean, I remember Jeanine Pirro on Fox News coming out and saying, I would sacrifice, I think she said, my retirement fund because I just really trust this guy. Like, I'm not worried about my retirement just because I have blind faith and belief in this man. So in the right-wing spaces, they have a far different relationship with their political leaders than we tend to have on the left. We do not have the same level of allegiance to individuals. So for instance, guys, I would say AOC and Bernie Sanders out of, the politicians in the national stage. Those are who I align with the most. There's no politician I agree with 100%. Of course, that would be very difficult to agree with any singular person 100%. But if they come out and do some crazy stuff and abandon increasing the minimum wage or abandon green climate initiatives and things like that, I am not just going to blindly follow them. I would immediately be like, no, you're not in alignment with my core beliefs and my policies. So I think there isn't that same level, or at least there is a percentage of MAGA who will just blindly follow and they don't have core principles that they're following. It's just follow Trump exclusively. Now, to kind of prove this a little bit in terms of how serious kind of this event, this statement to not expose the list has had, I'm going to play a clip here that went pretty viral from Trump loyalist Alex Jones talking about throwing up and crying as a response to this. And guys, if you do not know who Alex Jones is, his biggest, I don't want to say claim to fame because that tends to have a more positive connotation, but he was the leader really of the Sandy Hook conspiracy theories. So he is not a good guy whatsoever. But this is his reaction to finding out that Trump decided not to release the client list.
So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. So I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity. And,
Yeah, the guy who spread the Sandy Hook conspiracies that caused families to have to move and constantly live in fear of people thinking it was some false flag operation. Yes, that man has a ton of integrity.
I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country, and they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Once again, guys, the allegiance component there is so strange to me. It is so strange to me, right? Like I said, whatever political candidate I believe in, if something happens, I don't get it. That seemed absolutely absurd to me. But I want you guys to understand that is a lot of the reactions, maybe not to that degree. You may not have people talking about throwing up and crying, but a lot of people are heartbroken. They're pissed. They're angry. They feel betrayed in a lot of right-wing spaces. Some people are already abandoning Trump, MAGA loyalists are abandoning based on this decision that has been made here. And it's really just interesting where we're at right now because ultimately MAGA now has a choose their own adventure situation on their hands. And there's really 3 to 4 options here. So were they lying then? So was Trump lying then? And do you think all of the binder holding of files, the fact that Maxwell is in prison, Epstein was facing, like, was all of it just a lie? Was there no actual client list overall? Like, guys, come on. Right? No, we're not. I hope, regardless of where you stand politically in your ideology, no one believes there's no client list, an additional, maybe not client list, quote unquote. We can play semantics, but the idea there's not more information out there that we're not privy to is insane. Okay? Do not be that gullible. Okay? And if you do believe that, if you are that gullible and believe they were lying then, wouldn't that still enrage you? That they did this whole circus show and paraded around and they were lying about a conspiracy dealing with trafficking underage minors. Okay, I think underage and minors are repetitive, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, that's okay just to lie about that. Now, option number 2 is Trump is lying now. In my opinion, that is the most obvious and likely thing that is happening. That is my take. But strategically, it leaves me confused because, in my opinion, if you would just not want the files released, you just wouldn't speak about it. There are so many crazy things that happen in this country on a daily basis, not to mention the world and everything that's going on. I feel like if you would have just stayed quiet about it, it would have kind of been swept under the rug. But by bringing it to the forefront like this and blatantly lying, in my opinion, about there being no list, now it is dividing MAGA apart. So I'm kind of confused by the decision, but I do think they're just lying now about the information. I think most people are in agreement with that. Now, the third kind of lane that, in this choose your own MAGA adventure is just crazy conspiracy theories and shifting the blame. I wish this wasn't a choice, but unfortunately this happens time and time again. Every time there is an issue, remember the plane crashes or the helicopter crashes were trans people's fault or DEI's fault, right? DEI, I think Charlie Kirk just blamed the Texas floods on DEI. It just doesn't, it's just catchphrase, term, whatever, just say whatever. It doesn't matter if it logically makes any sense. But to break down the well-funded right-wing media infrastructure, the figures come up with some story, excuse, talking point, and then each media figure repeatedly floods the airwaves nonstop on multiple shows, podcasts, TV, Fox News, whatever, etc., with the same story over and over again in the same talking points. And they repeat it enough that their listeners accept it as the new narrative, despite the obvious truth being there right in front of their faces. You can call this the Trump can do no wrong camp, but that is lane number 3. So either Trump was lying in the past, Trump is lying in the present, or we're going to have to accept some insane, crazy conspiracy theory to cope with the reality of the situation. So this is where we're at right now. And this could actually, guys, be the lie out of the, I don't know, encyclopedia level, Cheesecake Factory menu number of lies that Trump has told. This could be the one that fractures MAGA more than any single lie in the past. Thank you for watching and being part of a growing progressive community. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have the time, check out some of my other episodes you can see around me. Thank you.